Welcome back to my second Mazda 3 flip project. This is actually the first work video that you're going to see, and it's mostly going to be voiceover because there was just so much going on with this. So this very first step I took was towards fixing the driver's door lock. You remember how that door cylinder, the lock cylinder, was sitting out inside the door. So first thing I had to do was get that door panel off so I could get in there and see what was going on. After I get this door panel off, you can see how this inner door panel, normally most cars I work with have this window with a plastic screen with some goo that just kind of holds it in there. Well, this one you can actually see there's an actual door panel that you actually have to unbolt. Even though there's a small window there up in the upper left-hand corner, most of this just unbolts very nicely. It's very clean inside, which is nice. I've not experienced that in non-high-end cars, so this is a substantial plastic panel that bolts to the door. And it later I found, as you'll see here, that also supports the window. There's a trick to disconnect the inside latch, as I found online, so you can remove the latch itself without having to disconnect the cables from it, that I found later. As you'll see, I found a bolt laying inside the door that was from the lock cylinder. I managed to use this bolt to reattach the lock cylinder to the trim piece on the outside of the door to hold them both in place. After that, I could operate the lock manually. But as you can kind of see, getting up to that point, I had to deal with the glass. This door panel connects to the window regulator, which holds up the glass, which I wasn't expecting. Normally I take off a door panel and the glass kind of stays in place. Well, this one I actually had to disconnect it first, and here you can see me bolting the glass back into the regulator. I'm attempting to put it back together so that I could properly deal with it and get things apart. I couldn't get the door panel from the window and the regulator apart properly. So what you see me trying to do here, the window is all the way in the up position, and I get the window bolted back to the door panel, but what I'm unable to do after I get it bolted back to the door panel is get the door panel all the way back in. The regulator, the metal, sits at the very bottom of that door panel, and as I push the window all the way up, I can't get it slid back up underneath so that it'll sit up in that door under the metal there. As you can see, I'm trying to push it up, and I can't get it back in there. It's impossible. I need to get that window down, and I need the door panel, which I put on the other side of the car, to plug back in so that I can use the switch and turn the key on so that I can roll the window down a little bit so I can get that back on there. So what you'll eventually see me do is to give up here, and I grab my cell phone and I call my wife in the house to have her come out and hand me that door panel. So yeah, make sure before you deal with taking this door panel off that you roll the window down a little bit before you get started. So she's helped me. I've got that. I connected the door panel off camera, and I rolled the window down a little bit, and I was able to get things back together / apart that I needed to. And here in a moment you'll see me actually take the glass out of the door frame. Which again, normally in normal cars, I was praising this vehicle a little while ago because the door panel is so nice inside. It's not just a plastic sheet that you peel away. However, there is more complication related to the glass here on this vehicle. So get some, you win some and you lose some with this. So a little bit of a struggle there, trying to figure things out, trying to have to separate the door panel and the glass without having the glass completely fall down and get damaged or whatnot, and get the door panel out. A little tricky. There was the bolt that I just found. I pulled that bolt out of the door. And there I unattached the window from the glass from the regulator again. There we go. So then I pull the glass out and I stick it on top of the roof. Finally, we're inside the door panel where you can see the lock cylinder hanging inside there, all loose, and it's not attached to that outside trim panel. You can see the hole where the bolt goes through on the upper part of that as it's oriented there, and there's a bolt hole that it also bolts to in that trim panel, so they'll hold together so that outside trim panel won't be floppy anymore, and the wheel cylinder will be attached. So there we go, there's the bolt, and I attached that, and we are in great shape. Well, as you can see, I've got the door panel back on with the help of my wife. That glass support beam inside was hard to handle by oneself, so I had her bring the door panel back around so I could plug it in and move the glass up a little bit with the motor so that I could get that door panel back in. So that's done. And keyhole's back. So I've bolted that back in. This now will go in and lock and unlock. Works great. So that's great. Now about this beeping, I was just looking at this, trying to see, okay, is the door sensor inside of the door lock mechanism bad? Because there's no button here. You know, older cars had like a little button or sensor here. That's all inside that door mechanism outside there. So I was testing this and I was closing and opening, and it still would work. I was testing the lock and unlock, and this was also something that was broken when I got the car. But what I discovered was I was starting to look at the fuse panel. I found that the fuse panel is under the dash here. And what I had discovered is, if you can see that tan plug was just hanging out. It was not plugged in to where it was supposed to. So I plugged that in, and lo and behold, the power door locks work again. Yay. And not only that, now that the power door locks work, it now understands that the door is closed. So this is excellent news. There's nothing actually fuse-wise broken. I don't have to replace that lock mechanism. The locks actually work. Power locks do. And now, since I also have a key fob that I purchased online, I should be able to program that. So that's the next step, to program this key fob for this car. So let's do that. All right, so now that we've got the door sensor working, that it actually knows when it's shut and when it's open, it's time to program this new key fob I bought online. To program the key fob, here is what you do. You turn the ignition on and off you turn the key to the on position and off 3 times. You close and open the door 3 times, and then you hit the unlock button twice, and that should program it. And once you do that, you take the key out of the ignition, the locks should cycle themselves to tell you that it's programmed. So let's see if that works. So here we go. On, off, on, off, on, off, close, open, close, open, close, open. 1, 2. Maybe I need to leave it on. So let's try that again. Let's do on, off, on, off, on, close, open, close, open, close, open. Let's try the key upside down. What the heck? Where's it going? Yep. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oh my gosh, it worked. The key needs to be upside down. Unlock, unlock. I'm pushing unlock, nothing's happening. Pushing lock. Nothing's happening. Pushing all the buttons. Push the alarm button. Nothing. I already checked the battery inside this fob that I bought. It's got plenty of volts. It's 3.2 volts. This is a 3-volt battery. That should be plenty. Nothing. It cycled twice when I turned it on. I thought maybe it was from me pushing the buttons, but nothing. I won't bore you with any more of this, but I have tried this for weeks and weeks, and I have not got this to work consistently again. One thing I've gotten it to work a little bit better to get into programming mode is to not go all the way off, is to go between off or on and accessory. That seems to work a little bit better. But otherwise, I have not got this key fob to do a darn thing. So I don't know if I have a bad battery, if I have a bad fob. I could try to replace the battery. It's now past time to where I can actually return the key fob to where I bought it from. So yeah, this is gonna just have to wait. I've got the key on the outside. I don't have a key fob for it. We're just gonna have to move on. Let's try something a little easier. Not that that was terribly hard, but hopefully this will be a win for us. So I've got some glue. I'm going to glue this down, and I'm going to use a couple of these drill bit boxes I have for weight to hold it down so that it glues down. So this is clear Gorilla Glue. Hopefully it works for this purpose. Let's see here. Going in a wave pattern, because that sounds good to me. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not got enough elasticity to really stick in there, to stick in the gap, but that's just the way it's going to have to be. I'm going to hold this middle gap down a little bit. Well, I guess I'll turn these to butt into each other. And we'll see how well that holds together. How long does this say? This is a 10-minute, 2 hours, fully cured in 24. So I didn't do the dampen on surface, so we will see how well that holds up without doing that. Next, it's time for the headlights. I purchased this headlight restoration kit from Griot's Garage, so we're going to give that a shot. Should work pretty well. Griot's is a really good product. I've got some masking tape here that I can mask the area to make sure I'm not going to hurt the bumper or anything while I'm working on this. Done. So now we will follow the instructions. Sand it, spray it. Includes a headlight restoration coating, alcohol wipe, sanding pad, and lint-free towels. Let's see if there's anything else instruction-wise inside. So here's this. Alright, looks like there are some instructions. So we've got personal safety equipment cleaning towelette. 3 of those, it seems. Got a sanding pad. There are the wipes, lint-free cloth, and instructions. So, I'm going to read these. Mask off the area. Clean them so they're free of bugs, wax, dirt, silicone, and grime prior to wet sanding. Yep, so I washed this car a few weeks back, so it's ready to go. Wet sand headlight using the included foam sanding pad to remove the cloudy yellow deteriorated coating. The deteriorated coating of the headlight is removed by sanding. The water running off will appear milky and yellow. Keep sanding, adding water as needed until the water running off the headlight is milky white, not yellow. Once the runoff is milky white and has no yellow in it, stop sanding. When you're done wet sanding, the headlight will have a cloudy white, opaque look to it and will be smooth to the touch. You will not be able to see into the headlight. This is normal. Clarity will be restored by the headlight restoration coating step 5. Make sure there are no clear or shiny areas. So let's do that first. So we need some water. Alright, that might be enough. Let's dry off my hands here and look at the Next up are the instructions. I don't see any more yellow coming off of it, so this might be enough. It might be not, so if it's not, we'll do it again. But when you're done wet sanding, the headlight will have a cloudy, white, opaque look to it and will be smooth to the touch. Is it smooth to the touch? No. Like right there, there's still a lot of corrosion. You can see it's starting to come through there, but it looks like it's not smooth at all. We still have a lot of work to do, so. All right, let's keep going. I ended up sanding this thing for many more days on and off over the next week, and it ends up that that pad that I was using out of the kit was just a piece of junk. It wore away really quickly. I ended up grabbing some sandpaper that I had and read the instructions. If I flip that paper over of the instructions, this is only actually supposed to take a few minutes to get done. So once I got out some real sandpaper and got this done, it literally took minutes for this side and a few more minutes for the other side. But I literally spent several more weeks on this. After sanding was complete, I masked off the headlights and took it outside and used the restoration spray and let it bake in the sun for a while, as the instructions said, and they look so much better. They're not perfect, but they're a heck of a lot better than they used to be. So that's it for this installment. The next installment, we'll start doing some more mechanical things. We'll remove the transmission and start to rebuild it. So thanks everybody for joining us for this round of the Mazda 3 Flip Project number 2, and we'll see you on the next video.